Well, hello, I'm Doug Apple, back with another special interview for you today. And one of my favorite topics is stewardship. I see it all over in the scriptures. I see how valuable it is in our life and all kinds of stewardship. A lot of times, if you have a stewardship campaign at church, you're primarily talking about money. But I've taught classes on financial stewardship. I've taught classes on body stewardship, how you need to be a good steward of the one body that God has given you. You need to take care of it. I've taught on things like your mind stewardship. You need to control your mind. And opportunity stewardship. When opportunities come your way, if you do nothing, you're not being a good steward of the opportunity. Time stewardship. What do you do with your time? God has given us time. We need to be good stewards of your time. I don't want to hear you saying things like, I was just killing time. You're killing the thing that God has given you. Well, we're on the phone line with Mike Sharman. He's with Share Healthcare. You've heard us talk about Share Healthcare here on Wave 94. We're talking about stewardship, and in this case, a very narrow subject of interest today we're going to be talking about, and that is the idea of going to college. And college involves financial stewardship, opportunity stewardship, brain and mind stewardship. So, Mike Sharman, let's dive into this subject. This is the subject of great interest to you. You've written on it in the past, and you have a lot to say. I think people are really going to learn some things and be inspired today of how to be a good steward when it comes to you or your children going to college.
Yes, it's that time of the year that prospective college students need to be doing their applications if they're a senior. And if they're somebody who is interested in going to one of the military academies as a junior now in college and in high school, this is when they really need to begin preparing their applications to go to a military academy as a junior in high school. And it's this springtime that is the time to be doing that. And as you mentioned, we want to be stewards. We've heard these horrific stories of people having a $200,000 student loan debt and really having no degree that's worthwhile. But there's a number of schools, colleges, that are free, and as in free. So that way the high school student can begin transitioning from being a child in school to a young adult in college to being a mature income-earning adult when they get out of college, or a trade school, because a number of these free schools, which do have associate's degrees, are actually trade schools. So let's just start with one that I had just recently learned about. That's Sattler College in Massachusetts. And it has free tuition it's a Christian school, small Christian school, and it has free tuition for those that commit to serving somehow for the Christian community in ministry or in mission work or Christian administration. But they call it, they eliminate tuition with entrustment. They entrust the student that the student will, they've committed, and after graduation, they believe the student will fulfill their commitment that they're going to be serving the Christian community. So that's Sattler College. So if somebody's writing this down, moms and dads, if you're writing this down, grandmas and grandpas, it's Sattler College, like I said, in Massachusetts. So a free Christian school. I mean, how many parents don't want that? But then there's many others. One of the more unusual ones is Deep Springs College. It's a 2-year liberal arts college, and it's on a cattle ranch in California's high desert. One of their college graduates there had been quoted in a New Yorker magazine article that said, and he said, Deep Springs does its own thing in its own time, even when it's not politically expedient or even relevant. So that school, Deep Springs College, was founded in 1917 on the 3 pillars of academics, labor, and self-governance. It had always been, for the bulk of it, for about 100 years, it had been a men's-only school because you're very few of them. There's only 10 to 15 students admitted each year. I mean, small. It was open to women, though, for the first time in 2012. The students work each day on the college's ranch and help administer the college as the self-governing student body. They have their professors, but they run it themselves. Now, despite its small school, the whole student body is 26, and they have a faculty of 20. Its alumni have gone on to Congress, become ambassadors, and they even have 2 winners of the MacArthur Genius Grants. So that's one extreme of being extremely selective. Those students, it's an associate's degree you get, but you go on to other things, obviously, by what their alumni have done. So that's on one end of it. The Williamson Free School of Mechanical Trades is in Media, Pennsylvania. It's an associate's degree program. It's a 3-year school, and it's free tuition and room and board, completely free. And it's a Christian school. It has Christian principles, and it's not a military school, but the students, even though they're learning trades, they're, wearing suit and jacket and tie. This school is teaching carpentry, masonry, horticulture, machine technology, power plant operation, a number of things like that, but at a very high level. For example, if you're learning horticulture, you're learning the entire biology, Latin names. I mean, you're learning essentially landscape architecture, et cetera. The machine technology, we had a friend that we had encouraged to go there, and that machine technology that he learned, he wound up doing the computer, how welding now is done by computers, essentially, when you're doing it on a large scale. So he was the one, they waited for him to graduate, and the company he went with was building the new Wilson Bridge here that bridges Virginia and Maryland right at D.C. So they were waiting for him to cut out this $20 million piece of iron in this huge warehouse that he is sitting up above it, and with his computer, he's designing and cutting it out. I mean, that's the degree that it has. So that's the Williamson Free School of Mechanical Trades. It's all men. Again, as I mentioned, it's Christian. You have devotions, you have chapel. It has 250 students, and it helps to be poor when you apply, but they don't accept only those that have limited income. Then another one of those work schools is the College of the Ozarks. Now, it's in Branson, Missouri, and it has its own post office, and it's the postal mark for that zip code is Hard Work University, or Hard Work U, actually. And the students run everything there other than the academics and the president of the college. So the students are the laundry. The students did build the school. The students, they have the dairy, they have a farm, they have gift shops, they have greenhouses, they have a hotel, they have a restaurant, they have a newspaper, they have a theater, they have radio and television stations. They have an airline that the students run. And there is no such thing as looking for work when you graduate from College of the Ozarks, because since it is Hard Work U, the employers come there looking for the students, and they snatch them up as much as possible. And that's entirely free room and board. So then there's another one similar to that, two really, Alice Lloyd College and Berea College. Both are in the Appalachian areas of Kentucky. And they charge for room and board, but because many of their students are low income, they get grants for that, but they have free tuition. So the students come out of it with an average debt of $3,108, so pretty close to free. Now, those are all essentially rural schools, but the big city has free colleges too. So Cooper Union in New York City, the full name of that school is the Cooper Union for the Advancement of Science and Art. It's the only full scholarship college in the U.S. that's dedicated just for preparing students for art, architecture, and engineering. And another one that's in the arts is Philadelphia's Curtis Institute of Music, and that's the only major music conservatory that gives merit-based full tuition scholarships to all students, and it's merit-based, not income-based. So you could be a child of a millionaire and apply. You could be a child of welfare parents, and you can apply. It's what you do that gets you in. The only way to get in is by live audition, and only 5% of the applicants are admitted. So that one's pretty tough to get into. Then another interesting one is the Webb Institute on Long Island Sound. That's tuition free. And their major, it has only one major at that school, the Webb Institute: naval architecture and marine engineering. So if you want to be working near the shore, working for those things, building yachts or building military size programs, then that's what you want to be doing. Now, there's also the apprentice school down in our Bay Area here in Virginia. The Newport News Shipbuilding builds ships. And since, for like many others, the hardest thing always is to get good trained people. So they have the Newport News Shipbuilding Apprentice School, which is a 3-year apprentice program, but you get an associate. But wait, there's more on this one, is they pay you to go to school. The students there start off at $19 per hour, and they go up from there with each increasing skill and semester that they do. It's a regular college in the sense that they have a band and they have sports programs. They don't have dormitories, so the students do have to find their own housing right around there, but it's an area where housing is relatively affordable. And then, of course, when you get out, you have a choice. You aren't indentured. You have a choice. Do you want to work for Newport News Shipbuilding and get extremely good wages as a union worker there? You're learning how to build big ships. And if anybody had seen President Trump's joint session speech to the joint session of Congress recently, he mentioned that he's going to have a big push now on shipbuilding in the United States. So those skills will be in great demand. And it isn't just the hands-on that you can get at that apprentice school. They also, if you wanted to go on beyond that 3 years and go into design, they have that as well. And they also have another year to get you into your bachelor's program for either that design or the administration. So there's a couple other ways of free schools. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that it's the time for juniors in high school to begin looking at military academies. Well, the military academies, there's Air Force, there's the Navy. Within the Navy is the Marines. There's the Coast Guard Academy, and there's the Merchant Marine Academy. So hopefully I hit them all: Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine. Of those, the Merchant Marine Academy is the one that almost nobody knows about. A lot of people don't even know what the Merchant Marines are. There are commercial sailors. They're the ones who go on to the ships that do freight, etc., or cruise lines, or tugboats, or go up and down the Mississippi, or in our Great Lakes. Those are the merchant mariners. So, and the Merchant Marines make good money. And that's a congressionally appointed, as well as you can do a direct application to the Merchant Marine School. And it's the most flexible of them. So the Naval Academy, for example, you can either go in the Navy or you can go in the Marines as a graduate from the Naval Academy into the Army. With the Merchant Marine School, you have your choice of any one of the uniformed services that you want to go into, or go into the Merchant Marine, or into any other transmobile industry, in the shipyards, etc. And that, as I mentioned, there's no such thing as a poor merchant mariner. That is good, serious money. Now, all those schools that I mentioned are tuition free, but then also they pay you while you're going to school. You're getting essentially an enlisted sergeant's pay for each month that you're in school. And if you think, well, I'm a senior, and I missed my chance to apply for the academies, or I don't know that I have the grades, there's what are called military junior colleges in the United States. And a number of them, in fact, the bulk of them, have programs that they're the feeder program for the academies. And each one of them have the ability to do a direct appointment from that junior military school onto an academy. There's, let me just list them so folks can remember. There's Wentworth Military Academy in Lexington, Missouri, Marion Military in Marion, Alabama, New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, New Mexico, Georgia Military College in Milledgeville, Georgia. So probably the one that's my favorite is Valley Forge Military Academy in Pennsylvania. And it has the college, and then they also have a high school, but it's the college you want to focus on. That has two very interesting programs that folks might want to think of. One, if you want to do the full 2 years for this school, you can do what's called the early commissioning program. Normally, for somebody to be commissioned as a lieutenant in the Army, you have to have a 4-year degree and then get your commission. With Valley Forge, you do those 2 years, and you get your early commission as a lieutenant. They then send you, and you wind up with all that tuition and everything paid for free, as well as having gotten your sergeant's wage while you're in there. But then they send you to a 4-year school, tuition free, because you're going to be helping that school teach their ROTC program. So one other aspect, a choice that somebody has at Valley Forge, is to do the 1-year preparatory program. You're still getting college credits. You go there for 1 year and tell them what your preference is for which military academy you want to go to. West Point, Annapolis, the Merchant Marine Academy, etc. And they prepare you for that, and then they can do a direct appointment into that. They have 15 slots that they're allowed to do. And the 99% of the people who choose to get into that preparatory program at Valley Forge actually get admitted into the military academy. So, Doug, those are the ways that folks can look forward to coming out of high school, getting into either the trade schools that we mentioned or these colleges, and coming out debt-free with a really great career in their future.
Well, Mike, we really covered a lot of ground right there, and I'm sure that some people have tuned in and they couldn't write that down, or they only joined us in the middle of it. But I will say this, that all of these interviews that we do with Mike Sharman, you can find them on your favorite podcast app. If you'll just look up Share Healthcare with Mike Sharman, then you'll find this and our other interviews. So you can look this up on the podcast app, and then you'll have the entire interview. You can pause it, you can make notes, you can write things down, and it's easy enough that way to go back over all the things we have just said. But Mike, if they just wanted to go to Google right now and try to find some of these things just by Googling or searching the internet, what kind of things should they search for?
Well, to get all the ones that I just mentioned, one, they can put in my name, and I think most of these articles that I wrote on them are with J. Michael Sharman, the initial J. Michael Sharman, free colleges. If you put that in, J. Michael Sharman, free colleges, all those free colleges will come up. And then you can also do a search for military junior college. And so all of those will then come up as well. So with those two searches, you ought to be able to get everything that we just packed into this last 20 minutes. And I think we ought to be mentioning two other stewardship things. As you mentioned, I'm the legal counsel for Share Healthcare. And that's a big stewardship item that helps families save significant money. So you're a mom and your dad, you got your kids at school, you got one you wanted to send off to trade school or college here that we've been talking about, but you still have others that are at home and you're wanting to figure out how to save that budget. And right now, the average across the United States for employer-provided health insurance is $2,600 a month for a family of four. Well, with Share Healthcare, that same family of four is $349 a month. Now, we're not insurance, which is one of the reasons why we're able to do it so more affordably. We don't have the bureaucracy that insurance companies do, but more importantly, we don't have the mandates that they do, either the federal mandates or the state mandates. And a lot of states now are mandating the transgender destruction, abortions, abortifacients, that the insurance has to pay for drug abuse treatment and alcohol abuse treatments, either the medical problems that result from them or treatments for it. And since we're not insurance, we totally go around all of those mandates. Share Healthcare is a 501c3 Christian ministry, and its specific ministry is helping Christians, its members who are Christians, share one another's medically necessary medical expenses. Pretty straightforward. And that's why we're able to do it for $349 when insurance companies, because of all the things they're compelled to do, wind up being $2,600 per month for a family of four. So that's another good stewardship thing that folks might want to look into. Yeah,
absolutely. God is calling us to be good stewards. and with so many good benefits when we are good stewards, and so many negative benefits if we aren't good stewards. But there is that little line from the parable of the talents, the man who buried his talent. Jesus in the parable didn't just say, "Oh, well, you should have done better." He said, "You are a lazy and wicked servant." And I don't know about you, listener, but I don't want to be a lazy and wicked servant. I want to be a good steward of what God has given me. And so there are so many ways to do it, and we've talked about a few of them today with Mike Sharman of Share Healthcare. And you can find more information about Share Healthcare at their website, sharehealthcare.com. And for Wave 94, I'm Doug Apple.